I do indeed. Hello.
I do indeed. Oh man. Well, I sounds like to me like we're ready to hit the ground running today. We don't have a lot of time, and that's good. I think it's good for people to know before we go into a whole episode talking about something we rarely talk about on this show, games.
Oh,
Pop culture stuff is coming fast and strong these days, and I think we did a lot more of it in the past, maybe, than especially with Marvel and stuff like that. But we are trying to keep up. It's just we don't talk about it as much because we're all in different places with how fast it comes out. So, like for me personally, I have a hour show and a half-hour show, one at a time these days. That's how I'm getting through things. So, like my half hour right now is Mythic Quest, but Michael, it sounds like your half hour right now is Invincible.
yep.
Yeah, and my hour right now is Andor. And JJ, what's your hour right now?
I'm done with our shows at the moment.
Whoa.
I finished Andor season 2, and then I rewatched Rogue One this weekend afterwards because like it was time.
Yeah, sure. I mean, if you
reappraisal, I don't know, like
really,
maybe maybe after you maybe that movie is better when you know Cassian's backstory, or they invent a backstory for a character that didn't have one.
is the movie better now because it's the capstone to the show, or you're thinking it's worse now because it's the capstone to a better story?
Season 1 of Andor is a perfect, or very close to a perfect season of television. I don't know that anything is ever going to do something like that
It's a movie
again.
though. It's 3 hours, right? Like it can't be as good as a TV show sometimes.
Sure, yeah. So I think, I don't know that like my ranking of Star Wars changes, because I think we all had Rogue One decently high up there.
Believe
right?
so.
I mean, I could bring it up, but yeah, we had it all in the top 3. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. So I think, I don't know that it moves up a rank or anything. Like, it's not going to unseat New Hope or Empire for me, for sure. But I think I had a better time watching it than the last time I watched it, given that now it has this like imbued backstory that wasn't there when they wrote it, but it sure is there
It was
now.
implied. They did a really good job in Rogue One implying to you that Cassian had been pretty beaten down, and that's why he was part of this thing. I'm not saying that a fleshed out backstory is
totally
not
right.
an improvement. I'm just saying that I think they did an okay job.
I mean, they do.
Yeah.
You're right. He's fighting with Rebel Command, saying like, I disobeyed orders and all this sort of stuff. Like, it's not there, but having it already seen it, then seeing this, it's a much better.
So, JJ, you had
I enjoyed
you
it
had
more.
Empire, New Hope, Rogue One.
I'm not changing that order. So
Michael had Return, Rogue One, Empire, and I had New Hope, Rogue One, Return. So I don't know that we can do much better than we already did.
No.
These rankings are from episode 190, you guys. I mean, that's years ago that we told people that Rogue One was going to be. That was way before Andor even existed.
Hey. Rogue One came out in 2016. That's almost 10 years ago. But that doesn't mean you can't like something better than you did the last time you watched it. And that was my opinion of rewatching.
I thought when you said reappraisal,
this
I
past
thought when you
weekend.
said reappraisal that you were saying that Rogue One wasn't as good as you remembered.
It wasn't as good in some parts, but it was much better in other parts. And so then I was like, I think on the whole, I liked it a little bit more. I feel like in my mind, I remembered there being a lot more Saw Gerrera in that movie than there was.
He's got an outstanding personality in the other sense of outstanding.
But he is not as major a part of that movie as my mind had him be.
You never watched the Clone Wars.
Nope.
Saw Gerrera is a big deal there. So I think a lot of people that saw that also had that kicked in Rogue One when they saw him. Like, oh my god, backstory character
here.
right there.
Yeah.
You know, like we're
Well.
like we feel now with Cassian, right?
Yeah, and I think, you get more of his backstory in, he's been over a bunch of the old Star Wars stuff, right? Like he's been in those clone TV shows. He was in a couple of video games recently, right? Like, you're getting his little situation. So, I think you kind of see what's going on with him. I don't want to say anything about Andor season 2 because you're not done, and I don't want to spoil it for anybody because it is still very good. So,
yeah, I'm agreeing with you as I slowly make my way through it. Very good. Okay, so that's where we stand on catching up on the TV side of things. But maybe we make a little announcement here that JJ, we are going to be without you for a month.
at least 3 weeks, yeah.
Extended assignment.
And you'll be on extended assignment, and we'll miss you terribly. So we're gonna have to figure out what to do. What to do, Michael? But I think gladly, feeling the pressure that you wouldn't be here for a little bit of time, we all kind of stepped up this week and gave it a shot to play some video games for
In for some content.
For some new hip talk about some games that are probably 10 years old.
Yeah, at least in some cases.
Well, we were gamers, guys. Buy things on sale. Don't play them new.
Heck yeah.
So JJ, lead us off, man. How did it go? Did you work on anything that was assigned, or did you decide to go off on your own?
I worked on one of the assignments.
I'm using your term because you
and
hated calling it an assignment last episode.
I know. It feels wrong to call it that, though,
Suggestion.
right? I mean, anyway. Yeah. So I installed Hue. That seemed like a fun little puzzly platformer thing. And I actually beat the entire game.
Okay.
How long was it?
I don't know. Look at my Steam page. It's like 6-7 hours, something like that total.
You ripped it.
And that includes like a couple of times where I got like pretty stuck and had to like sit and leave, come back later because I got frustrated.
Wow. Puzzle game.
But this was a long weekend. We didn't have any super big plans. So like Memorial Day holiday came and went, and we had a lot of time. So, I spent a lot of it playing this game. It's a fun, cute little puzzle platformer, man. I had a really good time. I feel like do you guys remember, I assume at least one of you played Braid at some
I think we
point?
both did.
Yeah. I have played Braid multiple times, and I continue to like it, despite I think the game now having like some sort of connotation that it wasn't as good as people thought it was, or something like that. JJ, it says you're 12 out of 13 achievements here, buddy.
Yeah. Do you want to go back to a bunch of levels from earlier on and collect things that were impossible to get at the time?
Very much like Braid. Go find the stars that you can't see, and some of them you have to sit with the computer on for hours to find.
Yeah, so not that bad, apparently. I did look this up and like see how much work it would be to do.
Doubles your game time.
And it's not that much. It might, honestly. Yeah. But also people were like, you don't get anything for this other than an achievement.
Yeah, one of those.
There's like no additional ending or whatever. And I was like, I'm good. We're done. I can uninstall. The story is very cute. You're this little boy, Hugh, and your mother is like away writing you letters and tells you that she's trapped in a world of impossible colors and can't find a way out, and you're trying to go find her. And, like the entire world is monochrome, black and white, shades of gray. And then as you proceed forward, you start picking up these pieces of the color wheel. And then you are able to change the background into various colors. And as you proceed along your way, you start encountering boxes, bricks, balloons, things of various sorts in color that when you turn the background that matches the color of the thing disappears and you can walk through it because it's now part of the background. And so then this leads to a whole bunch of really interesting puzzle stuff, right? Where it's like, oh, well, this brick wall is, what's the first color you get? Blue, like an aqua sky color, right? The background is gray. Okay. So when you change the background to blue, now you can walk through where this wall was. Oh, but this crate you have to push is now also gone. Well, so now you can't do that because now you can't jump over the thing, right? Like now the crate is gone too. So you need a different color that you can change the background to, or, go through the wall and then change it back and go to a different color and jump on the crate, right? So they make a lot out of these various sorts of puzzles, and they get more complicated as you go along and collect more and more colors. And, meanwhile, you're collecting little letters from your mother, and she's telling you about what's going on with her and Dr. Gray and the whole little story. It's very cute, very light. You're just like running around, platforming, jumping, and then you get to some especially towards the end, you get to some real dastardly puzzles, man.
Puzzle forward. It sounds like there is story here, but it's more puzzle forward than story forward.
Yeah. And in fact, I would say for the first maybe 2/3 of the game, I barely had to spend much time to get through these challenges, right? It's there's a couple instances where it was okay, I need to jump and then in midair swap the colors around and land on this platform with some a little tightish.
If you try to swap a color,
so
to get hit by the pause, so you're not trying to jump into.
It's the color wheel is on the right stick. And so you can, it kind of slows down time a little bit, but it slows down time a decent amount, to be fair. But it also doesn't stop it.
Fair enough.
And it doesn't it's not like you can alter your trajectory or anything in midair. So once you committed to that jump, it's going to happen, whatever's going to happen. Just hopefully the color is the right one and you don't get killed by the laser beam or whatever.
So is it structurally, JJ, is it like Celeste in that you're kind of on rail or room by room rails, or is it more you have a map and you can sort of explore in different directions?
So I think it's interesting. They really don't forward almost any UI in this game. So there's no health bars, there's no lives, there's no anything really except the color wheel when you move that thing around. That's kind of it. There's a couple of tutorials and things that'll pop up press X to push or pull a crate or go into this door or go back a level or whatever, that kind of stuff. But it's very minimalist from that perspective. And did I answer your question? Shoot, I don't know if I just tangented off of something completely
No, I was
else.
asking about are you kind of on rails going from room to room, or does it give you room to backtrack and explore?
Metroided, or is it Celested?
So there is a map. It is very minimalist. And so the minimalism goes even to the map, right? Where it's just a symbol and then a number representing how many beakers, which is the little star-like collectibles.
Okay,
kind of
right? Mario Overworld-ish.
Yeah, except it's not. You can't travel on the. There's no traveling on the overworld. It's just there, sort of showing you the progression of the game. And you can go back. There kind of is the worlds are kind of connected, but there's not a lot of ways in and out of them. They're kind of one way in and one way out of every world.
One way out.
Yeah, so you're not really going to mistake where you're going. But the levels, once you get in there, are largely linear. There's a couple that have branching paths, but it's mostly just this level, the next level, the next level, the next level, the next level, and they're kind of all just either contained rooms or, a scrolling screen or whatever, one kind of thing at a time.
Okay.
Yeah, often they still require you to get to the top of the screen and push it up a little bit more to see the next part of the puzzle or whatever, but it's not the it's not like your big, long, sprawling level with multiple jumps and all kinds of like tricks and traps along the way. It's kind of like, one set puzzle from get to this door, get to the other door.
Very cool.
Got it.
Yeah, I like I said, it was really nice. It was relatively easy.
Palate cleansing.
And palate cleansing. I think that's a good way to say it. That's not to say all the puzzles were easy. Some of them were, especially towards the end, very
You
hard.
stood up and walked away.
Oh wow.
Yeah, there's definitely a few of them, like especially once you get all the colors on the color wheel, where you have to do some like not intuitive things, which that's part of puzzling. But you have to like trick. It feels like tricking the game. You're like, okay, I have a red block. I need it to stay red and get to the other side of this level where there's a door that I can use this to get into. If I change it to any color other than red, I will be screwed because this thing needs to be red by the end, and there's no other way to change the color of it from here to there. How can I avoid all the things that cause me problems between here
Baba
and there?
is red and door.
Dude, yes, kind of like that. So yeah, like I said, it was a great time. Even the tough puzzles were still good. By the end, you expect some hard puzzles by the end, right?
I would hope. Yeah.
So that was my experience with Hue, a platform puzzling situation game that was pretty good. What about you guys?
Well, it's funny that you mentioned a map, because I'm going to use that to segue into talking about Tactical Breach Wizards.
Oh, yeah.
Weird name for a game, I'll tell you.
I want to hear some stories of defenestration, Andy.
It tells you exactly what they're doing. You're playing a tactics game. Every room so far in the game has been a door that I have to breach. And then I have two wizards that are going to go through that door and do stuff. Very cool. Very progressive in teaching you how to play. XCOM style, I think, or, tactics style in general. Kind of top-down XCOM. There's a lot of like mechanics that maybe you wouldn't have in a straight tactics game, like cover and like action orders and specials that don't count for actions and what is it? It's mana, right? I think it's mana. What is it? Energy. The lightning symbol that you get for doing activities.
Yeah, is
mana.
it like actions?
Yeah, no, there's actions
mana?
and there's
Okay.
separate mana abilities. You get to some things that aren't even actions. You just get them once per turn. Some you get them once per round. You can kind of combine all these in different ways to like create almost like a John Wick style motion for your character. And you can like use another character to make that character go multiple times.
Sweet.
Yeah, it's a cool puzzle tactics XCOM combo thing, because I don't know, JJ, if you remember, but each level's got like a mission to it where it's like, go in here, Michael, and don't let the hostage die.
Okay.
Well, that means that you need to like get the attention of the bad guys so they don't just shoot the hostage. So you go in and you move your character and you can see where their attention, like all the bad guys have a laser on their guns, so you can see where their attention is. And then you can kind of like move through from there. Well, another thing is to seal a door. Another thing in the level is to don't take damage, or et cetera, et cetera. And then there's like little side missions where it's like, hey, yeah, complete this in one turn. Well, clearly that's the puzzle element, right? Like I could do this in 5 turns, or I could do it in 1. How would I do it in 1? Well, this guy has an ability that you can use once because he has 1 mana to make this character go 2 times. But if I pick up this box that's on the ground, that character then has 2 mana, which means he can use that ability twice on this character. Then she gets 3 actions. So she could cast Chain Lightning 3 times and hit 9 enemies. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That kind of.
I love this
Yeah.
stuff.
It's exactly the idiosyncratic thing that you think it is. Especially given the fact that, oh, by the way, one of the characters is a seer, and so he can just, let you rewind your turn if you didn't like how it turned out.
That's handy.
Yeah.
Oh, you got like a straight up like oopsie doopsie. Let's
Speaking
like
of speaking
go
of
back.
grade,
Yeah, well, he can also go forward too. So it's like, oh, I think I did it. I think I did everything I need to do. What happens after I do all this? Oh, that guy can see me from there and shoots me. Well, I'll fail the secondary objective if I get shot. So do I want to go back and replot this turn? Well, I might have to go back all the way through. You know what I mean? Very,
Yeah, I imagine the objectives cascade off each other a little bit
yeah.
too, right? It's like, well, if you do this one turn faster, then that helps the next one.
Yeah.
And so
So
forth.
JJ, how far did you get when you played this game? Did you beat it?
No.
Oh, okay. I am having a good time. I like the very finicky, kind of fiddly actions in the game. There's a lot to remember, even by the third mission. It's like break into this police precinct and steal some evidence. Like, okay, sounds easy enough. Do it, this way, that way. Each level is like multiple rooms. It's not just like kind of, you played John Dark recently. It's like, oh, we have this story beat, and then we have this big battle, and then the big battle's over, and then we're gonna go to the next story beat. It's
Right.
This is more like, okay, each we're gonna storm our way through this building, and this building has 6 rooms, so you're gonna have to do this level, these 6 different levels, and the effects of each one can cascade on top of each other.
And are your people like carrying forward? So like if you take a hit in the first room, is that hit carried forward into the second one?
It seems like it could be. I haven't taken damage yet that has stuck with me.
Okay.
Because I've rewound to not take damage, and then I did take damage on one level, but it was the end of it was on the 6th room out of 6. So that
Okay, so
I
like
took
the last
one
one and
little
then you
hit
start
there.
a new
Yeah,
one anyway.
That was the end of that. So
I mean, I guess that's your privilege as being a wizard who can rewind time.
right, yeah, exactly. So the druids seem to, be giving us a little bit of trouble. I don't know why they keep kidnapping people. But throwing time grenades that knock people through windows, Michael, the part you wanted to hear about.
there we go.
Yeah. You could very easily call this the defenestration game. It is true. One of the characters literally talks about it as like the way that she wants to win fights. Very funny that there are, most of the abilities have some sort of knockback from the Storm Witch. She will do her best to create knockback, and then when you get to upgrade characters in this game, you can add knockback to abilities, and it kind of plays in to other characters, right? Like, oh, if I knock this character, I can't knock him out the window, but I can knock him into this other character who has a sentinel beam, and if somebody gets knocked into the sentinel beam, they get shot, and that does 2 damage, and the knock does 2 damage. So now I've done 4 damage. Cascading effects.
Is this game like Into the Breach, where you can like push them into the path of their allies' attacks so that they get got by their own dudes?
Into the Breach is a pretty funny mention because it comes in something called the Tiny Tactics bundle. And the 2 games in the Tiny Tactics bundle are Tactical Breach Wizards and Into the Breach.
So you're saying there's
not made by the same people, but very much Into the Breach. A lot less punishing so far than Into the Breach. Into the Breach has a lot of like, I made a mistake and I don't really know that I can fix it situations. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Into the Breaches Rewind is exactly one turn,
Yep.
right? But for the entire mission, and
Yeah.
you need
Yeah.
it badly.
This is like every turn I can go through the whole turn and then be like, I'm not sure that I like how this turned out, and then go all the way back every single turn. And even you can do it in the middle of the turn, one move back, or like all the moves back, or whatever you want to do. As long as it's within that turn-based action before you hit done. It all goes all the time, all the way through. Yeah.
Are you enjoying the extremely goofy aesthetic of wizards with like wands looking like AK-47s?
I was going to talk about the aesthetic a little bit because I played, what was that raccoon game? Trash Panda.
Oh, Donut something?
Donut County.
Donut County.
The aesthetic is almost identical to Donut County. And the snarkiness of the characters with each other is very Donut County. I don't know, if they know each other or whatever, but they definitely took design and writing cues from each other. The buildings and stuff are really like very detailed. I assume it's some sort of Epic, or I don't know what game engine they used, but it's got a lot of nice pre-built assets that are high res, and then the characters like just sort of having the body type, and then the like one distinctive factor on their face, like the one guy wears sunglasses and has a beard over basically a plain flat brown face, right, without any it's just very generic. There's nothing on it.
Mm-hmm.
And each character kind of like a shooter having a distinctive shape to their character more than anything else. It's cool. Yeah, I like it. I don't know how long the snarkiness will last. There's also I was segued this talking about the map. So there's a map in the game, JJ, and I don't know. You didn't see this part of it? The Storm Witch, is a PI wizard, she's a breach wizard. She used to be a breach wizard. Now she's a storm wizard, or storm PI. This story is very convoluted, and they lean into it. They're like, yeah, it makes no sense. I don't know what's going on. We got to go figure it out. They create a map of all the characters and places using red string. And as part of the action in the game, you can draw the red string out to all these things and move it around, etc. Seems like their way of doing the encyclopedia or index for the game, where if you want more information about a character, you can go click on it. But I don't know if it's actually going to play into anything. I don't know. It's a little strange. You can unlock a lot of outfits and stuff like that based on doing extra actions, upgrade characters with experience, all that sort of stuff. Yeah, it's fun. I'm having a good time. I enjoy it. I will keep playing it.
Cool.
It's a very suited space-wise for the Steam Deck, and they did a good job making sure their control scheme would function, but it still has the left stick is basically a mouse problem.
Okay.
I don't know how you fix that in a tactical game, like, because it's a grid-based game also, right?
It's a grid-based game, and you have a lot of ability selects, and you can bounce between characters. It's not like this person always goes first because of initiative, and this person then goes second. It's like, well, I'm going to move this guy, and then I'm going to move her, and then I'm going to have her do one ability, and then I'm going to go back to him to do an ability, and then I'm going to go back to her to do an ability.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know how you fix that. Like maybe if you had a set initiative and a set character and a set move comes before action, if it was a more regimented tactics game that came with turn order and all that sort of stuff, you could very easily switch over the controls into more of like a D-pad control scheme, maybe, where you were going up and down menus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But this is really, really,
I wonder what
really
the-
reliant on you bouncing around all over the screen in order to do stuff. Now, the rewind and all these things are set to the D-pad, and they did bind some stuff to controls, but it still runs into like, well, I got to go select this thing, and then I can use the D-pad. Or, oh, I want to go select that character. I got to go click on them. I've since there is rewind, it doesn't matter, but I've definitely accidentally clicked like a spell ability on somebody and cast a spell and been like, no, I just wanted to select that person. Oops.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. This has happened to me in John Dark also, by the way,
Yeah.
where it's like, I would like to move here. My character attacks, and you're like, oh, dang.
Yeah, older game though, bigger problem.
Yeah.
John Dark. Speaking of,
I think I blame. I want to blame Destiny for the like. We should just give console players and games that go out like this a mouse interface and just say F it. I feel like they did that in Destiny for reasons I don't understand, and then everyone was just like, "Oh, great, we don't have to like think about this anymore. We can just like make mice and let everyone deal that doesn't have a mouse."
maybe. I don't know
I wonder,
how
can
you solve
well,
it.
you wouldn't do this. You wouldn't do this with a Steam Deck, but like, could you just plug a mouse into some of these things and just use one? Like, can you plug a mouse into a PS5?
I believe you can plug a mouse into a PS5, and I believe you can easily plug one into a Steam Deck.
Yeah, I'm much more believable that it would work on the Steam Deck than the PS5.
I'm almost 100% sure you can use a mouse and a keyboard on the PS5.
The real solution for you, Andy, is just get a Switch 2.
But it's gonna have the same problem. It's still gonna because it has the mouse
Because it
built-in
has
thing.
the mouse Joy-Con.
The Steam Deck has those little
There you go. The first good use for it.
the Steam Deck has those tactical haptic
Little
pads
touchpads.
or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think
I wonder, Andy, if you go to like the Steam profiles for this game or whatever, if there's one that's like, hey, yo, we made a mouse out of the trackpad.
Oh, it's built into it. I tried it.
Oh, it
yeah,
is?
yeah, it's
Okay,
built
okay.
into it. I tried it. I think using the left stick is actually more accurate in terms of using that as the mouse. That haptic system is very, very quick. Like you just sort of shoot over
Slide
stuff.
right over it.
Zip, zip, zip.
Yeah, and then you could accidentally click when you don't mean to. It's I think the solution they came up with is the best way to port the PC game that they made. It's just unfortunate that there's really not going to be a better solution. My memory is correct. Every PlayStation since the PlayStation 2, you can use a mouse and a keyboard because of Final Fantasy Online games.
Ah,
Okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
I'm not into it for that, but you can. That's what I'm saying.
Today I learned.
So what I'm saying is you can. I don't know if you should.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Could be the tagline for Tactical Breach Wizards, maybe. I don't know, maybe. You definitely can throw that grenade in there. I don't know if you should, but you can. But yeah, I don't.
Oh, one last quick question. So, you know, as you're doing, I assume this is one of those things where, like, because you can make the enemies hurt themselves, that means you can hurt yourself also, right?
I have not encountered shooting myself or blowing myself up yet. I will have to report back. I'm writing that question down.
Okay. I would just assume it works like that, right? Like if you have
Friendly fire.
friendly fire.
something,
Yeah.
or if the enemy does something that you don't anticipate and then they knock you into yourself, you also take damage.
I haven't noticed knocking enemies into enemies causing damage. There's a real focus on you wanting to defenestrate people. They really want you to throw them out windows to cause that extra damage. There is a system for knocking people down. Like if you don't kill them, they're on the ground and then they lose their turn.
Oh,
Hmm.
okay.
Yeah, there's like a guy that charges people and knocks people down. That sentinel beam that I talked about that knocks people down. Usually so far I have been causing too much damage for knockdown to matter because I think I'm still really early in the game. I think there's 4 acts, so it looks like it gets longer as it goes. Each act's gonna get longer as it goes, but we shall see. Uh,
The tactics become more complicated.
it's true. It's true.
As one would assume.
How many tactics are there, Michael, when Batman just jumps off the roof and beats people up?
I mean,
I'm
he only
talking
needs. You're
Arkham
talking
Asylum.
about, yeah, Batman Arkham Asylum. So I found a little bit of time over the long weekend to get some gaming in myself.
Did what does Batman need? I'm sorry.
I mean, he just needs his wits and his fists, right?
True.
That can't be true. I distinctly remember a lot of batarangs.
Oh,
in
there's
that game.
tons of you have an unlimited supply of batarangs in this game, JJ.
How does that work?
Yeah, thank
The
goodness.
magic of video games, Andy. You can imagine me waving my hands at you.
Like they waved at you, I guess.
Yep. You're
That's
in a
funny.
at least to begin the game. You're in
Jazz
a closed
hands.
space, so you can assume that he just picks them up on his way back by.
Okay.
Off scene Batman going and collecting the 50 batarangs.
No,
and
it's
throwing at that
that's
guy,
Alfred's
keep him
job,
stunned.
or Robin or somebody. You know,
Yep.
make somebody else do it.
But this is good. It has been on my list of games to play for a long time, so I'm glad to have um a driving reason to actually dust it off and start playing it. And um I think first and foremost, it seems like, from the little bit of time that I put in so far, that it will scratch the itch of the kind of action adventure games that I like most, which are the ones that give you the option, and don't lock you into one way or another as you play the game, of being able to do things by either by stealth, or if you want to go full Leroy Jenkins, you have that option as well.
I think they focused on that kind of playthrough. Although a lot of those games, I tend to find there's a right answer and a very difficult answer. I'm not gonna say wrong, but difficult
Yes,
answer.
I would agree with you that you can definitely set yourself up better for success with maybe a little bit of planning. You don't have to tactically plan out your every move, but maybe, hey, maybe I take out a couple of guys hanging around the fringes before I rush into this room.
Mm-hmm.
How far in are you?
I played for probably a half hour, 45 minutes. So
So you got through all the opening cutscenes.
I got through
stuff.
all the opening cutscene stuff. The Joker gets away. I
Joker
got through
got
the
away?
first. Yeah, yes, the Joker got away. Um, I got through the first sort of tutorial about using your grapple and jumping around on the ceiling to drop down on enemies from above. One of the guards gets kidnapped, and you have to stop the kidnapper. But not too much further than that. So I'm still in the very early goings of it.
Okay. I'm very curious how you feel about the combat system once you actually get in and start mixing it up. Have you enjoyed the button pressy nature of it?
Yeah, I don't mind that. I don't mind that only because at least so far, and I don't know if they start to mix this up a little bit as it goes later, but it's really just kind of one or two buttons that you're pressing, right? They haven't thrown in a ton of combos. Not that I really mind that. I've played plenty enough games that have that, but it's very just sort of Batman runs in and punches the guys.
Okay. Yeah. There's obviously this game is. I don't think is it a spoiler to say it's a Metroidvania?
No, it is not. I've already gotten to see
Yeah.
enough
Okay.
of the map and started collecting things to know that that's how it's
But
going to be.
but is it a Souls game?
Yes.
No,
No.
Okay.
no, it is not that punishing. You get
I
big
don't think
warning
it's
flashes,
even
Andy, when
Dif-
it's time for you to parry.
Difficulty is not the only marker of a Souls game.
dying and having to go back and this game doesn't do that
Okay.
either. And dropping your experience when you die, maybe, and it doesn't do
Uh,
that either. So, there's like a lot
I
of.
would defer to both of you whether or not it is. I was just asking.
Yeah.
But, so that's cool, Michael. I'm glad you got a chance to check it out. I think that very first, like, Predator mission where you're, like, jumping around on the gargoyles and, like, hoisting the dudes up, and then you seeing all the guys freak out, be like, oh, they got so-and-so or whatever, right? Like, that really crystallized that game for me. I was just like, oh my God, this game rules.
So yeah, I know that is part of the combat, and I'm looking forward to being able to do that. I will say, just sort of a side note so part of the reason why I only had a little bit of time to put in was because I spent, aside from the time to download and install, it did take me a few minutes to go through that article that you sent me about how to get it up and running on Steam Deck.
Oh yeah, I totally forgot about that.
Yeah.
Did it work?
So it actually turns out that if you're doing it on the Steam Deck, there's a pretty easy way to do it. So it helps that it was included in the most recent beta version of Proton. So the first thing I had to do was download Proton, and get that installed.
Like
And
a beta
then,
version or a regular?
yeah, so it's a beta version of Proton.
Okay.
But once it's installed, it turns out that Steam Deck has a really handy feature where you can tap on any game in your library and then tap the settings icon, and you can bind a game to a specific build of the OS. So you can
Instead
tell
of
it, I want Arkham Asylum to run in Proton 10 beta. And when you launch the game, it'll always launch into that build.
That's cool.
Yes. So you don't have to go in and reset the build of, everything in your library. The game, you tell the game, hey, I want you tied to this, and then it just handles it all in the background.
It's cool that all the builds are available. I don't know how they I don't know how they make it work, because I've tried that in Windows and it's like it just doesn't function with the way that you think it would when you try to do some sort of compatibility stuff like that.
The answer is Linux is a lot better about that stuff than Windows is. Like, you can have multiple Linux OSs installed alongside each other, and it kind of is just fine with it. The problem is that when you try to do stuff that's built for one of them and on the other one, then problems. But if you're just like, Batman here, go, then yeah, it's probably fine.
Yeah, and that was all I had to do. It runs, the way it's supposed to once that's tied in.
I just recently came across some people doing kind of a retrospective about the Steam Deck. And I've had mine since launch. And how many games have you played on yours now?
Probably 5 or 6.
So you kind of still have a newer opinion of the system, but it's been 3 years now that the system's been out, and it's kind of like, is it going to be a long-term thing? Is it successful? All that sort of stuff was kind of what they were talking about, and I think the resounding answer is like the Steam Deck is still killing it in terms of this type of stuff. And it's surprising considering it hasn't, it's not a ROG Ally X2 or whatever the newest one is, where they keep trying to up the power and up the power and up the power.
Yeah.
There's just something about the Steam Deck's ease of use is really keeping it ahead of the game, even 3 years in with very little overhaul. I think they've made the Wi-Fi faster and they gave it a better screen and battery.
I think the ease of use thing and the like deep integration with Steam, where people have tons of games already, is really the like number one killer feature. Like people get all scared and you're like, oh, Linux, and then they're just like, oh my god, no, I can't deal with that, right? And it's like, dude, no, it's not Linux. It's just Steam. You use Steam all the time.
It's exactly what you
Turn it
know.
on and then do Steam stuff. You press the thing, it installs, you hit go, it plays, and then you're playing your game. It's fine. And that really is the feature. And like it supports, if not every single thing that Steam supports, like a lot of it, right?
More, yeah.
It may, maybe it doesn't support like every single game that's out there on Steam, but when it doesn't support it, it tells you, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And every game pops up with the controls too. I don't know how they got everybody on board with this, but like I so far have run into every single game when it pops up is like, here's the control scheme. It's like a EMU deck or a EMU level thing of like, telling people how it's going to work and all that sort of stuff is very forward thinking in terms of setting expectations even in each experience. And I think you're right about the Linux thing. Like for Michael going in and being like, oh, okay, I have to install something and do this and do that. And like the instructions seem very complicated. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, it only took about 5 minutes and it just sort of did it.
Yep.
Yeah. Like Michael, you had to install something called the Proton Beta. Do you even know what that is or what it does? Like, does it matter?
It does not matter.
Right? Yeah. And like you just clicked on a couple things, typed Proton Beta, and then hit go, and it did it, right?
Yeah. Yeah, you
Like,
search
pretty
for
close.
Proton Beta the same way you would search for a game in the search bar.
That's
Yeah.
crazy
So,
to me.
yeah.
Like just, hey, this is kind of an advanced user feature, but if you just find it in the search bar, you'll be all right.
So to be clear what Proton is and like why it's impressive that it works like this, Proton is the Linux compatibility layer that Steam Deck is running on top of like regular Linux OS.
Okay.
And so really what Michael did was like install a experimental beta of his OS
On top of his OS.
on top of his OS. But because it's a compatibility layer thing that's like meant to be swapped in and out, and like, again, it handles it all seamlessly where it's just like, well, now you have two of these things. And so when you start a game, it's like, well, which one do you want to use, man? And you're like, this one. And it's like, okay, there you go. Done.
Yeah, and very
And that little
seamless is the word for it, right?
But, can you imagine the world we came from, though. You guys never had Macs when you were younger, like moi. But sometimes you had to worry about the fact that stuff didn't work except with Windows, and they had emulators for Windows on Mac, right? So that you could run VMware Fusion on your Mac and try and get it to have a Windows operating system inside the Mac operating system. Oh my God, was that hard to get it to work? It was slow.
Mm-hmm.
Everything was sluggish with your main computer and inside the emulation software and in the Windows, and it overheated your computer. It barely worked. It ran it out of RAM. Like the Steam Deck, the underpowered, little engine that could almost, I know that the Switch 2 or the Switch are both less powerful than the Steam Deck, but they're their own thing, man. They're a closed system where you're not like, hey, I'm going to run two OSs on this thing at the same time.
I do want to be clear. It's not like you're running you're not running a VM like that, like a virtual machine like you're talking about with running Windows inside of Mac OS. That's not what's happening here. These are compatibility layers on top of the OS. The distinction matters to me, a person who deals with this stuff in my actual professional life, but probably no one else. But the point, you're correct though. Like running a full VM inside another thing is a huge waste of memory. It does a ton of stuff that doesn't matter to you, right? This is like, what if we just took the parts of Windows that actually matter, all these hooks, and made good enough hooks for them into this stable thing, Linux over here, that like rarely ever changes in ways that matter, right? and we'll just like make it so you can take all these Windows things or things built for Windows and just run them over
You
here.
took my very stupid way of
And-
saying this and made it smart. Thank you.
I've had to deal with this sort of problem in my professional life, so
You know how to break it down.
There's a lot of
Yeah.
things I understand about computers that I don't know how to explain. Thank you for doing that.
yeah. But like again, the point is the ease of use, right? Like, how hard was it to install another one of these compatibility layer things? It took like a search and a click.
Yeah, it took
That's the
longer
genius.
for it to download and install by an order of magnitude than it did for me to actually find it and hit the button.
Yeah. And it was just there accessible for it as soon as you asked for it, right? It wasn't like you had to like go to some website and say, I agree, and go to a download page and find a link and like all this crap. Like none of that. You just like search the store. It was there for you. And
Andy, you mentioned the issues you had with Mac. You know, there are parallels in PC, and the one that it stands in stark contrast to for me is DirectX.
Oh God.
Oh, what? I don't have the right version of DirectX?
There's still that still exists, man. Every time I install a game in Windows, it's like, oh, you don't have the right version of net tools, or what is it?
usually it's like MS.NET 3.
Yeah, I need MS.NET
whatever,
2.3.1, but you have MS.NET 2.4 and MS.NET 2.2, but you need MS.NET 3.3.1.2.
Because of this one file that's buried in it that doesn't exist in the other. Yeah.
Oh my God.
The funny thing is when you install this stuff on Steam on the PC, it handles that installation stuff for you the majority of the time. But a lot of older games are still like, I need DirectX version very old. And Steam's like, all right, man, here you go. And then a thing pops up and it's like, you have to click through and install it now because it's too old to be automated.
Yeah, all the new DirectX stuff is doing okay. But yeah, oh man.
Yeah, I mean, like, have you had to see a DirectX thing for a number that was higher than like 10?
No.
I think they're on like DirectX 12F or something now, but you don't hear about it anymore because it's all.
I remember
finally.
the DirectX 9 to 10 fiascos that were going on, and 10 to 11 was a little bit hitchy, and then ever since like 11, there's been nothing DirectX. They don't even talk about DirectX anymore. NVIDIA's too busy talking about AI to be talking about DirectX.
Not wrong. Microsoft won't talk about DirectX until they can say DirectX AI will make you a sandwich and then put the entire newspaper out of business or something.
Well, we'll see. NVIDIA's earnings thing on Wednesday is going to be kind of a major deal, I think. More than a big deal in terms of their sales, because I don't know how they're doing, and yeah, it's gonna be weird.
I can't say if it's everyone feels this way, but I certainly feel that AI is a giant scam and no one should be investing in it.
Yeah, I feel like each use case that I've actually sat down and tried to understand, when someone says this is a good use case, none of those have proven out yet, right? Like the whole like, oh well, it can do coding, and it's like, okay, so I watched someone like put in code that worked into it and said, can you make this code like clean it up? Can you do it better? Can you do whatever? And took code that worked and turned it into something completely unusable and unworkable. And it's like, okay, well, if it can't do that, what can it do? Like, it can make AI videos. So far, the only thing it seems to be doing successfully is make videos, deep fake videos. I don't know.
And like, to be clear, the like take code and clean it up thing is a thing that I could do.
Sure.
You know, like you could just ask me and I would do it. Which, you know, okay, like you want to take that job away and have a machine do it, and a lot of instances it probably could, but like that's not the person asking it to do that didn't learn anything about coding or software, right? And that's the problem.
Yeah,
is that it just like regurgitates stuff that
you have to make a
seen
coder's
and
job faster, right? That's the point of it.
And there are tools specifically catered for that. It's like, oh, hey, you're a programmer. Here's this AI tool that will help you write code. In fact, there's an entire term for this. It's called vibes coding. Have you guys heard of this?
No.
Enlighten us, sir.
I don't know why you would have run into this, but it is a thing. Vibes coding. And the idea is you, the programmer, don't write any actual code. You just work with ChatGPT or whatever your AI tool is, and you just like say, hey, I want something that does this. It produces some code. And then you try it, it works or it doesn't, and then you modify it based on how you
It basically
feel.
like pre-write you a bunch of code and then you edit it.
No, you don't touch it at all. You ask it to edit it.
I see.
And so the vibes are like, what are the vibes of this thing? Is it working right? No? Okay. Well, like, hey, this code over here that you gave me doesn't do exactly the right thing. Can you fix it in this way or that way? And then, see the vibes that happen. And the end result, I feel, is typically a thing that does something. It will frequently do something like what you asked, or it may even do the thing you asked, but you have no concept or understanding of how that works. And so now you have produced a thing that does what you asked, but maybe in a circuitous way, maybe in a way that makes no sense to anyone except the machine that wrote it, or in a way that you couldn't explain to anyone else. And so now you've written a piece of software that no one can maintain and can never be used anywhere else except this one application because it's this like crazy thing that was written with the no understanding behind it. And so now the software is completely useless to anyone except you.
Or the AI that wrote it, I guess.
And not even that, because the AI doesn't have any concept of what it did, right? It's just a machine. It doesn't know.
Oh, man.
It can't maintain the code. You have to tell it to maintain
This
it.
is
And so, like, again,
this is a rabbit hole I don't want to go down.
Yeah, I can see the headache coming.
It's very bleak. Very bleak.
Well, on that sad note, let's instead wish good vibes to your assignment, JJ. Your real assignment.
Absolutely.
All the good vibes.
Oh, thanks, guys.
Yeah. All the good vibes, and we'll see you. It'll feel like no time at all.
I'm very excited, so it should be a lot of fun.
Awesome. Hopefully there's time for some games in there, maybe some Jean, maybe some other things. And
yeah, we'll see.
And if there's not, I'm sure there'll be plenty of other things to talk about when you get back. In the meantime, if people want to tell Michael and I how we're going to survive the JJ drought, where should they email us?
They can send that to podcast@weweregamers.com. You can also find us on YouTube and on Blue Sky. We're at We Were Gamers on both of those places.
We're going to end up doing some vibes gaming while you're gone, JJ.
This is the way.
Yeah, see, that sounds all right.